Welcome to the Personal Trainer Experience. Today's guest is Cristina Poon. Cristina doesn't just train bodies, she rewires minds towards confidence you can carry outside the gym. From Toronto's winters to Bali sunsets to Sydney beaches, she's carved out a space that's more than a gym. It's a community where movement becomes a transformation, where people show up unsure and leave a little braver. She's a personal trainer with a double major in psychology and communications, and the kind of perspective you only get when fitness wasn't your thing growing up. Cristina knows how to reach people who never felt at home in a gym. She runs retreats in Bali, built a loyal following in her own training space, and creates programs that help women go from I can't to what's next. Her workouts are part sweat, part mindset shift, and all about building a life you actually want to live. What she builds is community, a place where movement turns into confidence, where discipline starts to feel like freedom, where strong is a feeling you carry into the rest of your life. Now let's get into it. Welcome, Cristina. How do you like that intro?
Hi, thank you for having me. That was amazing. That's the best intro. I'm gonna need to listen to that every morning to pump me up.
Question number one. So you lived in Toronto, Bali, Sydney. What's the one thing each place taught you and made you a better trainer?
Well, I grew up in Toronto, and the majority of Toronto in my adult life was my uni days, and so that was where I was studying psychology. So it was really all about the mind for me. I was fascinated about how perspectives can change how we live our lives, and even how we don't even know that much about the brain yet, but we're just learning a lot about brain plasticity and how controlling your mind can actually empower your life fully. When I went to Sydney, I actually started working out for the first time, and it turned into more of a focus on the body. I started strength training, and I realized how much fitness actually has to do with psychology. So my Sydney years were very much focusing on strength training, discovering who I was in the gym, and connecting the mind and the body. And then poetically so, Bali has been a great space where I live to really connect the two and get more into the soul, the psyche, and a little bit more of a holistic approach, and along with the nervous system. When I was living in Bali, where I met you, I was going through some pretty personal things, and just the environment and the gyms, the way they work there, it's a lot more holistic. And so I was able to really connect, Toronto in the mind, Sydney in the body, and then Bali and the soul. And every time you move countries, it gives you a little push forward to start again and feel free to dive into new things and new perspectives. Whereas when you stay in one city for a long time, it's easy to get a bit stuck in your routine. You're just pushed forward when you go live in a new place to experience new things. So I really soaked it up, and they really complemented each other very nicely.
I remember being in New York and I would just keep doing the same thing over and over again. Yeah, but since all my travels, I've tried like Muay Thai, surfing, and soon, hopefully, I'll start some BJJ. But I think it's good to start new things.
It just very much inspires you that when you enter a new place and you don't know many people, that you can be anyone you want to be. And so it makes it a little less scary or confronting to try something new, because no one knows who you are anyway. So you can just dive in. I did want to do more dance classes in Bali. My dancing, especially like hip hop, is terrible, but I didn't end up having time for that. But maybe the next city I live in.
Hip hop dancing, that's cool.
Yeah, maybe we'll see.
So you weren't athletic growing up, right?
Yeah, around 23 actually, pretty much when I moved to Sydney. Yeah. I was not athletic. I was not part of any sports teams. I was more of a band camp, church choir, chess club kind of girl. And as you can imagine, knowing me, I was quite petite growing up, still am. But I found myself at the butt of a lot of jokes when I was younger, getting teased because I was the tiniest one. And I noticed that there was a pattern that it was happening a lot in my life. And I started to take a hard look at myself, and I realized that it's not so much, your size, but it's how you carry yourself and your confidence levels. And when I started strength training in the gym in Sydney, I started realizing that I could carry myself a lot better. Not only physically, because, you're strengthening yourself, and so your posture gets better, your core gets stronger, you hold your back better and everything in place, but psychologically realizing that you want to achieve something, you see yourself hitting your goals every time, helps build a very deep confidence. So, yeah, it was a life changer for me.
So if your 15-year-old self saw you now, what would she say?
She'd be super proud. Especially the last retreat I ran in Bali. I had a little moment and cried to myself, and it was like I was just imagining my 8-year-old self looking at me now and what I'm achieving, and living a life and a career that I'm actually passionate about and helping people, and also just having been able to break out of my shell of shyness and petiteness and into something that's a little bit more vibrant and authentic.
You know what? When I first met you, I didn't think you were petite. Like, I never thought that you were petite or tiny.
Yes.
You got some muscles?
Yeah. Say I'm 5 foot, but I'm probably 4'11".
Okay. Must be, maybe I met you when you were wearing heels or something.
Yeah. Maybe, or maybe it was just my personality. I don't know.
I
Made
know.
up for it.
That could be.
The presence.
So most trainers lean on barbells and cardio or classes, but you chose a pair of wooden circles. Why do you specialize in Olympic rings, and what is it about that style of training that wins people over?
Well, I actually got into it at the same time I was studying fitness. So I wasn't something that I realized was going to be my niche. But as I was studying fitness, I ended up getting a personal trainer who specialized in calisthenics. And I think I really was drawn to it because it was a very performance based as opposed to aesthetic based. Obviously in fitness now, there's a lot of women that, they're portraying their booty and their abs and how they look. And since I had the background in psychology, I've always been more about the deeper level of, building yourself up. And sometimes women can get a little bit too focused on how they look and it ends up being detrimental. I like to get them to focus more on performance things and then, the aesthetic follows afterwards. So I really enjoyed that. But I think the reason women love it so much now is because it's really a beautiful combination of masculinity and femininity. So you need to have the strength for the Olympic rings to be able to do chin ups and turn yourself around. But once you develop that strength, you can actually make movements with a little bit of a flow or a little bit of a dance, if you will. And so it allows them to be a bit creative and flow like while they're strengthening their bodies. And actually, not to mention the playfulness of it. Just reminding them that, we're not so fragile and we can jump and throw ourselves over the rings and play around as opposed to thinking of it as something that's a bit tedious and repetitive.
Yeah, it looks like fun. The only thing I've ever done is probably just pull-ups on the rings. I can't do a muscle up.
Oh, next time I come to Bali, we'll get you flipping.
Okay. Yeah. I want to do that because going upside down, and I saw some videos where you put your legs between the rings on one side and then the other side.
Yes,
and then
the straddle.
You go upside down, and then you make like a
that's the stag.
90.
Yeah, and I don't even know if these are real names. Sometimes I have to make up names for these moves.
But you know what? This is a great idea because nobody's I don't know anybody that's doing rings. So it's a good niche and you stand out.
And when you see Olympic rings, it's often things like CrossFit style and it's more like dips and muscle ups and pull ups. So yeah, I think it is something I've created out of really nothing. It's just fun to be upside down and try different moves and learn to hold yourself and make different shapes with your body because I believe how you move your body can help you express yourself. And so, yeah, it's been a really fun journey finding this niche.
What's the most surprising non-fitness thing that made you a better coach?
So I think it's definitely traveling. I travel a lot and I don't travel to turn off or escape. I actually travel to turn on. I find that when I'm in a new country or city, I'm able to come out of autopilot a lot easier, which helps me be a lot more creative. And in doing so, I don't only become more creative, but then I'm able to experience different types of classes in different cities and countries, go to different wellness events, go to different hot springs, things like that. And I always try to learn something and bring it back for my clients. So in Bali, in Nirvana, where I met you, there was all the beautiful mobility classes. And so I took a lot of the things I learned there and took it as study. Every time I travel, I feel like I'm on what's it called? When you're in university and you go travel abroad. And so, I was in Nirvana, it was a lot of mobility based stuff. And then in Toronto, I didn't have access recently to a typical gym. So I did classes and things and I learned more about some Pilates and things there. And so I'm pretty much always absorbing from my environment and trying to see how I can pick and choose what works really well and create something for my clients.
Yeah, I think that's very important for trainers to try different things, try different classes, let's say you specialize in strength training, but taking a calisthenics class will be helpful. Maybe take Muay Thai, take boxing, or you try to run a
Yeah.
half marathon, right? Because I think yeah, I've seen a lot of trainers, they just specialize on one thing and that's all they do, but they're not trying kettlebells, cleans, snatches. Because you could incorporate that into your training and you'll get a different perspective of what other trainers are doing. There's more, the thing with fitness is there's like a million ways to get fit, and there's not like just one way. So if you learn more ways to help people get fit, you'll get more clients. You keep your clients more motivated by trying new things, and you just up your knowledge in training.
Yeah, you end up getting a lot of clients that have different needs, and so you've got a larger toolbox of what to choose from. Like I've got some clients that like to do resistance weights training with the legs, but in the upper body they want to do Cali. We get to play with different things, but also when you go learn from different trainers in different arenas, then you learn how to communicate differently. And sometimes one cue that works with one person isn't going to work with the other. And so the more you have in your toolbox, the more you can offer them more services, but also connect with them and communicate with them better.
Are you training people online and in person, or what's up?
Yeah, so I'm training people online. Usually, how it works is I give them a call and we have a nice little discovery discussion about what their fitness goals are, where they're at, what they've done, things like that. And then I take it away and I write a beautiful little PDF and I write a proposal for them of what their fitness plan could look like if they decided to join. And when they join, they end up joining a Facebook group, a WhatsApp group, so they're still part of the community. And everything's tracked for them. They have an app and all of that. And then simultaneously, I've been building the group classes in Sydney, the small group PT for women. So it's structured from 2 to 5 women per class, and we focus on calisthenics-based exercises. And from there, I've made other classes they can join, and they have members' prices versus people who don't train within the small group core, and they pay a little bit extra. But it ranges from the small group PT, and then we've got red light therapy and mobility classes. We've got Saturday sweat and stretch class, and then we have like monthly outings that actually have nothing to do with the gym. I mean, this month we went to Wild Ropes, which was sort of like a treetop adventure. Next month, I want to take them to a dear friend of mine that's a fashion stylist, and she talks about fashion sustainability and fashion psychology. The psychology of it is the part that I really want them to go to, but it's about offering not just fitness, but because of my background in psychology, I want it to be more holistic and be able to offer a little bit more so we can touch on the nervous system, so we can touch on, how we express ourselves in daily life. And so it's been proving to be really nice. The girls really like it and they all get along. And I think it's very unique to have a group of people that you can hang out with that aren't always going out drinking, at the bar or the pub.
So you got a psych degree. How do you think that helps you train clients? And what do you think other trainers could benefit from by doing some of the techniques or some of the things that you do?
I think one of the best things I've realized is the simple thing about progression and regression. It's so much more than just pushing people to go further. It's about their emotional capacity that day. So I specifically progress depending on how they feel that day, especially with women, because we work on 28-day cycles. And so if you push them too hard on a day that, they're feeling pretty low on themselves, you could end up having them leave the session feeling worse than when they came. And my goal is always to have them leave feeling better than when they came. And sometimes if they're not feeling so good, we still progress, but we would probably maybe just keep it to like one single rep or an extra set or something a little bit more achievable. And when they're feeling really strong, then we run with it. And I think making that a habitual thing that they progress and succeed because it's realistic and achievable goals helps turn it into progression into true deep confidence. And it becomes a pattern, and they start realizing that what they can achieve anything with 1% or 50% effort every week, as long as it's just a little bit better. But it takes a bit of reading how they enter the space that day.
Interesting. Me as a guy, sometimes you would train women because I can't empathize with that and what going through your period or the cycle, whatever, what that's like. But I have had sometimes girls say cramping, or I can't do this, or I can't do that because I'm cramping, or I just don't feel good. Yeah, I think my solution was always to kind of push through. But then I remember realizing that I was like, maybe, I don't want her to feel like crap. I want her to feel good, to have a good experience in the workout, and not feel like it's punishment. So I try to empathize a little bit and try to do more fun things or make it more fun.
Yes, and women are so hard on themselves too. They'll come and it'll be the week of their period and I'll get them to do their 5 chin-ups or whatever and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm so weak." But that's not even the right dialogue to have with yourself because you're supposed to be not as strong when you have your period because your body's working how it should be and it's putting its energy towards your reproductive systems, which it needs to be. And so calling yourself weak during that time isn't accurate and it's not helping your belief system or your psychology or your training. And so I make sure to get them to realize when it's happening. And the beautiful thing I've been doing with the girls now is that when they feel like that, they let me know, but they're actually starting to realize like, oh, like your body is working exactly how it's supposed to be and it's completely predictable. So they'll know their period's coming and they'll know that they need to, shift it a little bit. It doesn't mean that they take the day off, but they just adjust the workout a little bit and it becomes like just more in tune with your body. You're working holistically with your body and your mind. And so everything becomes a bit more achievable and definitely more enjoyable.
And weight, right? Weight is affected greatly by, well, weight on the scale is affected greatly by the cycle, right?
Yes, massively, massively. And so I don't really get my clients to weigh themselves. I get them more to, again, first is to be performance based. So are you getting more chin ups? Are your push ups getting better? Are your squats getting heavier? That's how we kind of tell. And then how your clothes fit and photos rather than the scale.
And another question, how do you get clients that, like, let's say a new client, right? They start off strong for the first month and then they start going back into their old habits, start getting a little lazy and start coming in less. That happens to every trainer, right?
Yes,
So
totally.
what are some of the techniques you use
Yes.
to get them back, get them excited, to hold them accountable? Like what's some stuff you do?
So I probably even tell them in the beginning that to expect that that's going to happen, and then tell them that when that happens, I'm going to be there for them, and I'm going to make sure that they come in because it is inevitable that motivation is going to fade. It always does, and of course, you start to see the baby gains, and then things start to settle down a bit, and it feels like you're doing nothing, but you and I both know that the stuff is working underneath, and it's happening, and they've got to trek through and keep going, and the consistency. So by preparing the expectation of it, it helps before it ever happens. And then also, again, having the right progressions week to week and having it be performance based and then reminding them constantly how far they've come or how they're so much stronger helps keep them focused and on track with that kind of thing.
Okay.
But also, when you have groups, it makes it easier because they're kind of accountable by each other as well.
Right, because there's a group, you don't want to let Sally down and the other people you're working out with.
Yeah, so I'd be like, "Where were you yesterday?" Yeah.
Oh, that's smart. That's smart.
Yeah.
All right. So you've got a strong online presence, multiple coaching programs, and you give away a lot of free value. What kind of results have you seen from these kind of marketing tactics? And what's your overall marketing strategy now?
Yeah, so I have definitely noticed that getting leads with, using social media has definitely been a benefit, but actually even more so, retaining my clients has been way better with the social media presence that I have now because you get to kind of touch their life throughout the week. If you see them on Saturday and they don't hear from you or see you until the next Saturday, it's actually a really long time and a lot of things happen. Whereas if you're present on social media, you get to kind of pop in and say hi without having to actually pop in and say hi. I once took a little break from social media for a month and I actually saw my clients drop off and it really shocked me because I didn't realize how much it was actually affecting their retention. And just like in the gym, consistency is the most important thing. So if you're gonna be present in social media, you gotta be present daily. If you say you're going to do Monday to Friday or Monday to Sunday, you've got to do it because you want to be seen as a reliable source. And if you're just popping up here or there, it doesn't show your credibility and it doesn't create trust. And even though it's something that might be happening on an unconscious level, you have to be constantly there for them, even in social media. But my main marketing strategy has been, as you know, as you mentioned, I give a lot of value. I want people to be able to come onto my page and be able to reach their goals without even having to train with me. So doing it this way helps me focus on creating value through every post that I do. And hold on, I forgot what I was going to say.
We can edit, no problem.
Yeah, cool. No, what was it? It was value. Oh, yes. Okay, yeah, so posting frequently and often allows me to give more value. And my marketing strategy is to think of marketing as value giving. So all I want to do is just when I market, I want it to be anything that gives value to people who may want to train with me or who are already training with me. I've had times where I slip into focusing on marketing in order to create income or to make more money. And it changes your mindset from an abundance mindset into a mindset of desperation, and I swear they can smell it on you.
Oh, really interesting. Oh,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah. So it really
Explain that a little
helps. It
bit
keeps
more.
it, I think it's just in the energy that you give off when you're doing something or marketing to someone because you care and you actually want to help them, which is why we always all do this job. But sometimes we forget and we end up thinking about our bank accounts too much or how many clients we have. And when you do that, you're no longer trying to help people and you're trying to sell to them. You don't want to make it a pitch. You want to make it like an invitation to help them get from where they are to where they want to be. And it just comes across a lot better. You enjoy your work a lot better too. It's more authentic.
And what would you say to trainers who, let me see, who still see their Instagram page as, I guess it's social media, let me see, as they should look at it, they should see social media as a marketing tool instead of just entertainment. Because I think for me and some of, maybe some of the old school trainers, that's how, we grew up with just posting stuff about your life. But now, someone
Hmm.
like you, what you're doing, I don't even think you're seeing it as a social aspect. It's more like, all right, this is for business. This is the new Google ads where this is how I attract clients, keep clients, and it's all marketing, right? It's more
Hmm.
business, right?
It is, and I struggled in the beginning between a personal presence and a business, and I was like, should I have separate accounts or not? But I've realized that making sure you still inject your personality into it. Like the last post I did was me and my boyfriend in the Rockies, like dancing. It was like just something stupid. But people aren't buying you for your programs; they're buying you for you. So add in some value and some education, and then keep showing them about your life too and who you are. And I think that is a good combination between the two, a nice balance.
Oh, how comfortable were you talking to the camera? Because I know a lot of
Oh
people
my
who don't
God,
like
yeah.
doing it. I've met people who are afraid or just hesitant about just talking to the camera and then putting themselves out there. So what happened with you?
I was petrified. Petrified. Like I knew, yeah, I knew a couple years ago that it was something I would have to do if you want to become a bit more successful and if you want to access clients that you don't know. Like in your network is one thing, but if you want to get clients and you've never met them before, they have to learn to trust you. So obviously showing your face and talking to them is something you need to do to be able to build trust. And I was absolutely terrified. So I just started doing little posts here and there and I would cringe and I hated it. And I one day I just got so tired of being scared of it. I was like, fuck it. You know, I guess you need to like also choose content that you feel proud of. So, now with like the internet and AI and stuff, it's really easy to try to create stuff that can help people properly. But I mean, like anything else, like if you're scared of the gym, exposure therapy, right? You just got to do it. Just do it little by little. May start with a little 5-second story. I didn't even like putting pictures up of myself before when I started being a PT. And so, yeah, I hated it. And then one day I realized I was like, oh my God, why don't I just put up videos and photos of my clients instead? Because they were all doing cool things, like chin ups and flips and whatever. And so I did that. And then I started getting a little comfortable showing myself. And so it took baby steps. It took baby steps, but you just got to keep doing it and eventually the fear will fade.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, like me doing this is very foreign for me. I always wanted to be in the
Yeah,
shadows
it's great.
and right, and just like what's
Me
going on over
too.
there.
Me too. I did stuff in theater and I was like
Yeah,
in the back, doing
yeah.
stage production and not in the forefront. But yeah, I mean, when you have a good message to share and you believe in something passionately, then it's kind of a crime not to share it.
Like this podcast thing, right? I think young trainers or just other trainers from different ways of life could learn from someone like you, someone like me, some of my past guests, because you get a
Hmm.
different perspective of what other trainers think about. A trainer from New York, from Manhattan, who's working on the Upper East Side, he's gonna think differently, totally different. Somebody here in Bali, uh, and then somebody in Sydney is
Yeah.
gonna train somebody totally different, like let's say in Italy, God knows what they're doing over there. So yeah, so like
Hmm.
this helps out other trainers, and I wish I had this kind of information when I was younger because I would have to just talk to my colleagues and be like, ask them questions if they were jerks or if they didn't want to talk or they weren't friendly.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember I didn't really know any PTs either, so I didn't have anyone to ask, but I remember YouTubing personal trainers, like a day in the life of to try to get an idea. And that's before and Facebook and stuff. And so yeah, I didn't find very much there. But luckily I jumped for it anyways. But yeah, no, this podcast would have been great. Yeah.
All right, so trainers hate selling. What your trick or what are your tactics when you try to sell your PT?
Yeah, I mean, I struggle with that too. I really believe that running your own business and being your own boss is just self-development in disguise. So part of it is definitely building self-confidence. But one thing I thought of a few years ago was I was really struggling to say my price and to not drop my pants when they would try to say, it's too expensive or whatever. And I realized that if I feel that way, then maybe it just means that I'm not giving enough value. So I need to create a package, a service that over delivers on value and is worth the price. So if you're feeling that you're scared to ask for more money, then maybe it's because, it's not really deserving of it yet. And so just keep building.
Okay, oh, that's good. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because if you're really sure about something,
Yeah.
you wouldn't hesitate selling it or offering it. Okay.
Exactly. It would just be like, no, it wouldn't make sense for them not to join you. So whether that's like it means you need more self-development yourself, or you need more training, or you need to create a new package or offer that is better, then of course you need to find the price that matches that. But it's not always just about lowering your price or hiring your price. Sometimes it's about creating more value.
Right, right. All right, and let's say a 25-year-old trainer who just got out of college, who aspiring trainer. What advice would you give them if they want to become a trainer, like let's say over there in Sydney?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. I really learned a lot from working in a big box gym, to be honest. Working in a place, I remember I got my certification and I was a bit nervous about starting a job in a gym. And I was like, I could go to like a little boutique studio or I could go to Fitness First, which is this big box gym. And I remember I was terrified about the idea of Fitness First. But sink or swim mentality. I was like, if I get into Fitness First now and I do that for a few years, then I'll be able to do anything. If I go to a boutique gym and then I try maybe going to a bigger gym, then I might feel intimidated. Just, go to a space where you can learn the most and you have a lot of people around you that teach different things so you can absorb as much as you can in the beginning. And of course, it's going to take time to build up the business side of things, right? Learning how to sell and market and all of that. So bigger gyms kind of help you with lead generation, and that you still have to do the lead generation, which is important. If you go to a gym where they're just feeding it to you, then you can't really survive on your own in the long run. So yeah, pick the scariest place and the place where you can learn the most and run for it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, like I also started at a big box gym in Queens, New York called the New York Sports Club. And I knew zero
Cool.
training. And I didn't even have a certification. What they did was, which is really great. They hire you and you just work the floor, picking up towels, putting the weights away, doing stuff like that. But in the meantime, they train you to take a personal training certification within house. And while you're doing that, they also tell you to go get your like NASM or ACE certification, like a nationally certified certification. So you got to get both, right? So you get the in-house school for being a personal trainer, and then you get the big certification. And you start by doing X amount of hours per week at the gym, like on the floor. And then when you get when you do enough training sessions per week, you can get off the floor. So you don't have to do a floor shift anymore. So all you do is come in and do training, and that great.
I'm always a fan of the ground up.
Man,
Yeah. Yeah, you got to do your time,
yeah, exactly. You got to do your time, and then and then I remember shadowing other trainers. I would just tell them. Well, I think my old boss told me, yeah, shadow a trainer, just see what they do, how they train people, because you've never done it. So I would just hang around other trainers and see what they do, and pick up tips from how they treat their clients. Another thing I would do, like I would tell now, I would tell trainer, let's say you want to make the money and you want to get clients, live at the gym. like stay there, be there from
Yes,
6
yeah,
a.m. till you gotta go home to go to sleep. And because I remember I would
yeah.
like a few years into the being a trainer, you would see like some like a new guy come in. I'm thinking like, oh man, I need a couple more clients. And then a new guy would come in, lives at the gym, right? He's eating breakfast, lunch, snacks at the gym. He's
Dinner
sleeping.
there.
Yeah, sleeping in the break room, doing his homework there. And then
Yeah.
he would like get 10 clients in 3 months or fill up his schedule in 3 months. And boom, up he's off the floor training people. I'm like, oh, damn. Like I remember what it was like to be like that hungry. Live
See,
at the
and
gym, right?
yeah, this is the same with social media. You got to be present all the time, just like you got to be present on the gym floor.
Mm,
You got to be in the forefront of the mind. So when they think workout or gym or training, that you come to the mind first. And it's about presence, whether it's on the floor or nowadays on Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is.
yeah. And then I remember over the years I developed some tactics on how to meet people at the gym. I had this, I forgot who I learned this from, but the layering effect. First time at the gym, I see you. I
Yes, I
just
used
right? You do that too? All right, wait, hold on, let me say. So I would give him a head nod, all right? And then, next time I see him, I'm like, hey, hi, say hi. And then the next time I see him, I'm like, hey, hey, what are you working on today? All right, good job. And then ask their name, and then be like, hey, can I give you a tip? Or can I spot you? Or just start a conversation about the weather. And then after a couple of times, you're like, hey, you want to do your complimentary training session? And then after that, boom, goes from there. What about you?
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I used to do that too. I used to call it the onion because of the
The
layers.
onion.
You got to unwrap the
Right.
layers slowly. But I think when it actually comes down to, which is again like social media, it's repetition and familiarity. You need to get people familiar with you and keep giving like, even selling products like Coca-Cola. You have to show them an advertisement like 7 times before they buy, you know?
Right. Yeah, right. That's true. Yeah, isn't it now? I think now it's like 30 something times they have to see you before they buy or something. I might be
I
wrong.
bet.
All right.
Sounds about right.
So, if you weren't a personal trainer right now, what would you be doing instead? If you never got into the gym, you never walked into the gym, what would you be
Yeah,
doing?
I think I would definitely be in events or retreats or some kind of curating, some kind of event space for people, which is kind of like what I do with my group classes anyways, creating different events and things. But I would definitely be working for myself still because I'm terrible at interviews, so no one's gonna hire me. But yeah,
Okay.
anything travel wise, event wise, it would have been definitely psychology. Would have been something to do with mindset. So yeah, pretty similar kind of thing actually. So I guess
Okay.
that's a good thing.
You said you've traveled a lot. How many countries have you been to, and what's your favorite one? Favorite place?
I'm not really sure how many I've been to. A lot. There's definitely more to go. But my favorite's probably Bali.
Really? Bali?
Yeah, I love Bali. Yeah, there's something about like you can actually feel that the island is alive. Like she's a
Yeah.
presence. And like every time I've been to Bali, there's a lesson to learn or like some kind of self-discovery that has to happen. Yeah, there's something special about that place. And also it's such a unique place because everyone that lives there is like out achieving their dreams. No one works a 9 to 5 job in Bali. They're all
Right.
creating something. And when you go for dinner with someone in Bali or a bunch of people in Bali, they're not scared of what they're capable of. They're all like, oh, I'm buying a hostel and flipping it, or I'm building a house, or I'm building a business. They're not scared of their own potential, I find.
Right. Yeah, I think there's a lot of entrepreneurial presence here. And that's one of the big things I like about Bali. And it kind of reminds me
Yeah.
of New York, where I would go to a lot of tech meetups and business meetups.
Mm.
It's smaller here, but it's the same vibe. You meet a lot of entrepreneur type people, which is freaking awesome. Section of the show where we do overrated, underrated. Okay,
Okay.
overrated, underrated. Fitness fitness influencers with no coaching experience. That means they've done no coaching at the gym in person.
Yeah. Like totally overrated, not okay. Like I said, do your time. It's just so easy now these days for people to sell themselves online and they've got no experience or no credentials. I think it deserves a lot more respect than that. So yeah, overrated.
Yeah, me too. I agree. Overrated. Just because you're 25 years old and your metabolism is high, and you have if you've gone to the gym for like let's say
Yeah, exactly. You don't even know
a couple of
yet.
years, you've had no injuries,
Yeah.
and you look good in bikinis or workout gear.
Yeah,
It
by
doesn't.
default, because you're
Yeah,
young.
Exactly. And doesn't mean you know how to train people. You don't know how to do prevent injuries, post injuries. If somebody has bad posture, how do you fix it? If they have tight hips, how do you fix that?
Mhm.
Overrated, underrated. Using AI to program workouts.
Okay, underrated as long as it's used properly. So you shouldn't be using it to create the workouts, but I very much use it as an assistant. So I've got little folders with my clients' names and I put in all the information about them in terms of their injuries, their goals, and all of that. And I use it as an assistant just to keep all of that organized and to come up with plans. And then it reads it back to me and I bounce it off. But definitely not as the sole way that you create programs. It should be used as a tool.
And I definitely think it's underrated because even though you get information from ChatGPT, doesn't mean it's wrong or it's cookie cutter. Because it's not like you write a prompt where you just
Hmm.
write, hey, give me a workout for a girl who's 25, 30 years old and da da da. You know, and that's it. No, you write a prompt and then it gives you an answer, then you write another prompt, you keep refining it, refining it, refining it until you get something that's unique and that you approve of and that you think it will help your client. So I think it's definitely underrated.
Yeah,
I
you
think
very much need
trainers should
to
be doing it.
manage it.
Yeah, yeah. It's every trainer should be using it because there's things that you don't know, and you could ask it any question, and then you get a lot of answers, but you just have to keep refining the prompts until you get the final answer.
Yes, exactly. And like the internet or social media, if you don't learn how to use it resourcefully, you're going to be left behind for sure.
Yes, 100%. All right. Oh, all right. Overrated, underrated. Female trainers using booty shots as their main marketing strategy. Everybody knows those.
Oh my
I
God.
see them.
I struggled so hard with that in the beginning of my career, like so hard. It was so hard seeing other girls do that and it worked and they get clients. And I was like on the verge of like, should I be doing that? And it was everything against what I stood for. At the end of the day, I'm really happy I didn't, but I definitely felt the pressure and I understand the pressure that a lot of coaches, especially female coaches, would feel to have to do that. But I mean, not even just because the values of me are the values of my business. And so I don't think that that's right for my business, but also for my mental health. I'm really happy I just didn't rely on that sort of thing to get clients or, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think it's overrated because I don't know. More than half of their audience has to be just dudes just looking at girls uh, and hitting like,
Oh, yeah, exactly. You
right?
don't end up targeting the right people either. Yeah.
And I think what it does is it gets you a lot of likes and clicks. It looks like that post that you did is doing really well. Your true target audience sees that and they're like, oh, this person is very popular, so they must be really good. So I think that's probably like one of the strategies why some girls do it. Yeah, like, and another thing would be like if you're a girl and you want a nice ass or a good looking body, I guess it helps that the trainer looks good. But I don't know, just basing your whole strategy on like booty shots. It's I don't know, it's nice to see, but I don't know. I think it does something. It takes away something from your credibility. Where are you just
Yeah,
a nice
I
thing
think
to look at?
so. I think yeah, it does. And also, again, it gives your clients the idea that, their aesthetics is what is most important, which is very much what I steer clear from.
Overrated, underrated, over-promising results, like lose 20 pounds in 4 weeks. This style of marketing.
Yeah, definitely overrated. I mean, you're essentially lying to people and giving them wrongful expectations. I don't see how it's a smart way to do it because you will be much more successful if you retain clients. If you retain clients, that's a much better way to have a stable income than to constantly be getting new clients through a revolving door and then them leaving because you couldn't deliver on the promise. I always say you want to under promise and over deliver.
I was listening to Alex Hermosi, and he was saying how
Mm.
you should, if everything went right perfectly, you would get X results. But yeah, so I'm still trying to understand that strategy of because like, it could be possible to lose 20 pounds in 4 weeks, right? It could be possible. It's
Hmm.
not likely, and it's probably not healthy. But I think that's why a lot of these salesy type people, that's what they do. They tell you like the perfect results if you do the perfect program or you do the perfect steps. So I don't know that one. I'm not sure, but if you're saying lose like let's say 60 pounds in 4 weeks, then yeah, that's clearly lying. I kind of I'm in the middle of that one. I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So let's talk about some of the programs you are offering right now to your clients. What do you want to talk about? Like, as far as what kind of program you're offering, this is your time to talk to your clients.
Cool. Well, I mean, for the clients that are in the Sydney region for now, I mean, I've got the small group classes running. I like to make it more holistic. So we've got the small group PT, which is based on strength. We've got the red light therapy and mobility, which is a bit more nervous system training and working on your flexibility and nervous and mindset. And then we've got the Saturday group classes, which are a little bit more endurance based. But probably what I would want to express the most is having a little chat and a discovery call to understand where you're at and coming up with a proper fitness plan that really points out what you might be missing, what hasn't been working, and directs you in a path forward. So you think of your exercise as a fitness plan and not just going to the gym and training, because it is something that you want to be ingrained into your life. And, I go deep into like also what they're feeling in terms of mental health. So I have some clients that have depression or anxiety. And so in their fitness plan, there'll be a workout of what they're supposed to do, but we have something called a floor or a ceiling. So the ceiling is this is your program, this is your targets, this is what you're supposed to hit this week. But if you're getting hit with a bit of anxiety this week or depression, then you've got a floor where you got to do the bare minimum. And it might be 2 or 3 exercises. You can do it from home, but it like takes away from that guilt of not doing anything and then turning into that bit of a negative cycle that seems hard to get out of. And it helps it become more of a therapeutic routine as opposed to something that you just have to slog and get through. So like those little things that I put into the programs to really implement it into their life. And then like the same thing happens if they're traveling, then we adjust the programs to what hotel they're at or what gyms they're going to be around and just make it sustainable, whether it's a 5 minute snack workout or a regular hour long training session. Yeah, it's nice to take it a little bit more seriously and look at it a bit more holistically and really work on psychologically making yourself love the gym as opposed to having to go. So, yeah, if anyone's
And then
interested.
in this discovery call, what do you want to know from the client?
So we go through their exercise history, any injuries. Of course, we talk about their goals. We talk about exercises they love and they hate. We talk about their mindset cycles. I mean, these days everyone's got a little bit of anxiety or depression. So what happens? How do you deal with that when you have that? Do you stay in bed all day? Do you go out drinking? And we find ways to mitigate those kinds of situations that are going to happen in life. And then we, of course, touch on nutrition and sleep. So it's a very well rounded hour call to get through where you are and how you can get to the place that you want to be at.
Okay. And if I was a client, what would I expect to happen in the first 2 weeks? Like if I decided to train.
Yeah, so we'd have the discovery call. We'd go through that. I'd take the next 24 hours to write a little proposal. It'll be sent to your email and it'll be all laid out seeing everything that I saw, everything that I suggest, and a few plan options that might suit you according to different budgets or different importances of what you might want. And then once that's done, then you get an email with access to the app. And the app will have all your programs planned from the calendar to what progressions you need to do to any specific things like the floor and ceiling that we talked about. And it allows you to track everything as well. And at the end of week 1, we check in again, see how the exercises went. We see if there was any issues, if they felt any pains, and we adjust it. And then we keep going for the next 12 weeks with progressions with weekly check-ins. Yeah, and then they'll be part of the Facebook group and the WhatsApp group where I share information about things. And obviously, they're invited to any events that we do at Get a Grip.
Okay. And hold up, I had another question. Let's say I've tried going to the gym, for many years, and I keep going on and off, on and off. How could you help me stay on track and help me stay on track?
Well, I would probably assume that if you've done that, that you haven't been following a program or you haven't been following a program and been seeing results. So I would educate them on what we're doing and how important progressions are. And the questions that I check in with would help stimulate the interest and the commitment from them. So talking about how did it feel going heavier on your squats today? Like, weren't you proud of that? Things like that to help you really, again, take note of your mini wins every week because I think that's what becomes addictive. And then once the weight starts rolling, as in like you start getting better at your squats or your push ups and things, it naturally happens on its own that you start getting a little bit more addicted to it, hopefully in a healthy way.
All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I guess since this is a podcast about, trainers and making it a career, one thing I wanted to say is I think that a lot of people don't see personal training as like a real job. It's like maybe sometimes seen as serving or bartending. But one of the best things I ever did was start taking my business seriously. I just like had this idea that it was like a hobby. And then one day I decided to change my perspective and I started thinking of it as my baby, like my actual baby that needs to be fed and needs to be watered and needs to be taken care of. And as soon as I started taking my career more seriously, everyone else did. And so it is definitely a long-term career choice for me. And I think it can be for many people as long as they keep believing in it and thinking and taking it seriously with respect.
Right. Yeah. Keep feeding the baby.
Yeah, keep feeding the baby. Make it grow into something you're
Yeah.
proud of.
Right. Right. No, yeah. That's wise words, Christina.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Poon,
coming,
yeah.
Christina. Thanks for coming, Christina. Really appreciate you showing up and helping other trainers because there's some trainers out there that might be watching this and uh, get motivated by what you say and how you've shaped your career. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for having me.